our next speaker, I'm so excited, is from a country that actually Nazaf mentioned in her presentation, from Russia. His name is Artem Mushin-Makedonskiy. And he is a Russian business storyteller who has got ties to many large storytelling organizations. He helps people find their authentic stories to solve business challenges. And today he's going to be teaching us how you can learn to use the power of storytelling to build influence and attract business. The presentation is called Double Why, What the Russian Language Can Teach Us About Deep Connection, Trust, and Integrity. Put your mics on, give him an opening round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure to be with all of you here, and a real pleasure to speak with you. And a real pleasure to speak in this order after such a presentation. I mean, the things you said earlier, Nazat, thank you so much. It really got my heart pounding. Not because you mentioned my country, but because you mentioned the things that made me feel like a human being. And that's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about. So I'm here to develop the topic of double why and help you discover your authentic self through stories. So just 2 words about myself. I'm Artem Mushin-Makedonskiy, and I call myself a story gatherer. And more officially, I'm a board member in a Storytelling and Organizations International Group. It's a group of the National Storytelling Network, and I do storytelling for business. But instead of doing it like Aloe Black saying, like, I need $1, dollar is all I need. If I share with you my story, would you share your dollar with me? I'm rather a story gatherer. So I help other people tell their stories. And I have taught more than 2,000 people to do this. And the surname is real, by the way. 70% of it is a gift from my wife. And 70% because I was Mushin before wedding, and she was Makedonskaya, and we just made it double surname because we are, people who are open to new ways and new opinions. So that is who I am. And today I'm here to talk to you about the perfect storm. And I couldn't miss the chance to show you a picture of Ayvazovsky, the famous Russian painter. And yes, the storm changed everything. That's obvious, but not quite everything. You still have an intact way to create a deep connection, which is not destroyable. It's totally intact. It's with you everywhere you go. But sometimes we forget that it is there because the storm is too strong. But first and foremost, Russians are not the kind of people to talk about the connections, because when you type Russian and grumpy, you get the picture of our prime minister on the left and our president on the right. And they really confused, I guess, bodyguard in the background. But clearly that's not the thing. But moreover, I was searching for a picture of grumpy Russian, and that's what I stumbled upon. We have a YouTuber in Russia who is just making pictures of himself next to different settings, and he is from Russia. And guess what his channel is called? You guessed it, Grumpy Russian Traveler. Like, we know that we are grumpy, we get it, yes. But there is one thing that Russians are good at. It's the connections. I've recently met with David Hutchins, a fellow storyteller of mine. He came to Russia and said, it's amazing how in Europe or in USA and anywhere in the world you come to people and they're open to you towards yourself, but they don't tend to be more open when you get to know them. It's like a small distance you can go, but not very far. When in Russia, in contrast, when you come to Russians, they are cold like Siberian snow. But after 2 days with them, you get to be invited to drink vodka because there's a large distance you can go with these people. And the secret is in our language. So most of you probably know about the model I'm about to talk right now. It's called the Golden Circle, and it was first discovered and described by Simon Sinek on a TED Talk. And if you could press a plus into the chat so I can see how many of you know about this model, just let me know. It's always lovely to see people who know Simon. He's a great guy, and yeah, he's amazing. So what I wanted to talk to you about is the secret of the Russian language that is lying beneath this model, which is very funny. So for all of you who don't know this model, I will describe it really briefly. So everything we do is united by 3 circles. First, there is what we do. Like I am a trainer. I'm a soft skill trainer. I'm also a speaker. But in these terms, I'm not different from anyone else. And, you know, by the way, I just recently heard the joke that really describes how ununique we are in this level. So there are so many Russian business trainers that British scientists decided they would replace mice with Russian business trainers in their experience because of three reasons. First, there are many more business trainers in the market than mice. Second, we value mice really better than business trainers from Russia. And third, well, there are some things that mice just don't agree to do. So this is just an explanation of how ununique you are on this level. And this is common. But then there is a level of how, and you can be like somebody first in an area, or, you know, a leader of opinion, and you can be a how. And that's kind of curious because many companies and many entrepreneurs have their missions, their, you know, the most valuable asset of the business formulated on this level. You can check out the true mission of Apple by the rule of Tim Cook, who is, by the way, a great person, and he is a great leader for the company, but he has phrased the mission in such a way that there is a misconception. Here is the mission of Apple. Can you believe it? Do you feel the power, the energy that was there when Steve Jobs were there? And even easier than this, can you read it through? Can you read it till the end? And I guess the answer is probably not, because this is just a list of products. But if we dive deeper, we get to the why. And this is where a miracle starts to happen. Simon Sinek has said that this level is the belief and the core purpose of your being. So here, obviously, Steve Jobs, and the founder of the company, he has a totally different mission statement: to make a contribution to the world by making tools for the mind that advance humankind. This is energy. This is catchy. And you cannot just post it on your social media if you're Samsung, because, well, yeah, that's not going to work. But here's the thing. There are two words that stand for why in Russian, and they are totally different. And they really explain the difference between two very key things here. So let me just give you a short lesson in Russian, and I will break it down easily, so don't worry. You can see that the word in the left and on the right, there are two different words that stand for why. They have the middle part, which is called chem, which is actually similar. This is a form of word what. So chem is what. But, you know, don't mention the why that stands on the left there. Russian is just crazy. We tend to change words whenever we like. So yeah, just ignore it. You need to know that the first part of the word is different. So let's break it down. If we have the word what and we add po in the first syllable, we literally get by what. Like if I have followed route number 17, then this is po чему I have come here. I have joined Zoom, so this is po чему I'm talking to you. Like literally by what, by which road. But if we take зачем and place it in the front, then we get after what. Like I can be going after milk to the shop, like literally after milk. But if you connect the two words, you get a totally different meaning. So почему written connectedly is a motive, the reason for doing something. And зачем is the purpose, the goal you're pursuing. So for example, I have a 2-year-old son who will be probably suffering with such a big surname because all of the blanks he's going to fill throughout life, but never mind. So I have the son, and if I ask him, Kostya, почему did you throw this rock at me? So why did you throw this rock at me? Почему will bring me an answer like I was angry, well, the reason. And зачем would bring me an answer like, well, to get your attention, of course, dummy. And this is the purpose he's pursuing. So obviously there is a connection. Our motives are connected to our purposes, and our language can teach how they are connected. So let's break down Steve Jobs' example. He had companies that are bigger than a single person. He had IBM with great computers, and leader of IBM notedly saying something like, there is a demand for maybe 6 personal computers in the world. This was pre-Apple age. And this is a real actual quote from him. So he worked in such environment, and this environment molded and shaped him to become a person who is focused on people. He is making a contribution to the world to advance humankind, not corporations. Here is his зачем, his purpose. But here's the thing. it is really hard to discover them by asking these questions, because when you ask yourself, why do you do the things you do, you probably get an answer like, well, because it's profitable, or because I feel that it's valuable, or because I don't know. Well, give me a plus in the chat if you have at least once seen a company answering the why question with things like, well, it's valuable and it's a great asset for the world, and blah blah blah, and other things like. It's really hard to be honest and to be authentic in this way. It is really so. But here's the thing: we can still get there by asking the right questions. And here's where storytelling plays its major role, because instead of asking, why do you do the things you do, you probably can ask, where have it all began? When did you realize that it is the thing you need to do? What happened? And this is the question that breaks the temperature in the room. It breaks the temperature so much that it makes it warm instead of cold. Let me tell you a story of how I discovered my почему and my zачем, my purposes, through the stories. And it is also connected to COVID and a lot of pain. Because before COVID, I was a professional storyteller and I made hundreds of interviews. Well, not hundreds, but tens of interviews with different experts from all around the world. And I was so pleased with it that I was telling this as my authentic story in the beginning of a training. So I said, well, I did a lot of interviews with storytellers and I created the first Russian storytelling conference in business with more than 30 speakers and 3 days. And we hosted it and it was amazing. And I'm also a board member to the blah, 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 and the first Russian member of blah, blah, blah. And also I got to the television in Russia on a huge major project connected to the government, and I helped the people of the government to tell their stories. And every time it was fine until COVID hit us. Because when COVID hit us, I was leading a training on a platform called Training Space. It's known here in Russia, but it's traveling across the globe right now. It's going international. So there we had an activity where people talked in breakout rooms. But despite the thing that breakout rooms are closed, on this platform, a tech guy, like someone who checks the mics and stuff, he can invisibly invade these rooms and listen to the people just to check connections. So what I did was the humblest person in the world, told my story and said, well, now go into pairs and discuss what you think about me. Who am I? And they start writing into the chat like, wow, you're lovely, you're young and expertized, you're so awesome. And this guy, I don't know he's there. And after the session, he rings up and says, Artem, I have bad news for you. And I say, go, like, what? Everything went great. And he says, well, I got into every room just to check connections, but then I stayed and I heard that they actually think you're a prick and that you're self-centered and you're self-selling and you're a showboat. And I'm just sitting there feeling that my whole story, that all the things that I did, all the what that I did crumble at this very moment. It was so painful that at this moment, I was actually going through a course with Doug Lipman, a great storyteller, one of my favorite teachers. And he asked me this exact evening, he asked me for a question. He said, well, Artem, can you tell me about a moment when you felt your true self? And despite being a professional storyteller, this was the first time in my life I failed to find a story in my life. I was so shocked that it just blew my world. Luckily, several days afterwards, I had an interview with another storyteller, and she was the amazing Esther Choi. And after the interview, she said, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you come to the storytelling? And automatically, I start telling the same story. Like, I was a member of blah, blah, blah. And, I came up on Russian TV. And she said, wait, stop. This is not interesting. That's not you. And I said, like, why? That is me. This is what I did. No, that is not you, she says. Tell me about a time when you were in this session and you really felt like you were being yourself because you helped someone. And immediately afterwards, I remember about Sergey, an entrepreneur who had the task to inspire people with his project. His project is dedicated to help entrepreneurs all around Russia to build a sustainable business, because in Russia, it's kind of tricky. And my purpose was to help Sergey tell about his project in a way to inspire. And here is the thing. He was telling the story of his project like this. Well, I have 14,000 entrepreneurs learning from our knowledge base, and we have an average point of rating 9.5 out of 10, and etc., etc. And I came to Sergey and said, Sergey, can you tell me about a moment when you actually thought that's a good idea to do this project? And he said, well, that's not interesting. Nobody's going to like it. And I said, I'm going to like it, man. Just tell it to me. You don't need to tell it to anyone. And he told me a story. He told me about his friend, also called Sergey, by the way, who opened a cafe in the living house, like a multi-story building, and he got closed in 3 weeks because in Russian government, if someone who lives in the building is mad at someone in the cafe, like with the hygiene or something, it's really obvious for the government who is wrong, and he got closed in 3 weeks. And also he told me about his friend who's called Rashid, and Rashid opened an account in a bank, like for his legal entity, and he suddenly withdrew more than 80% in cash. And in Russia, you're not supposed to do that because that looks like some fraud. And he got his bank account frozen and kicked out of the bank, and he couldn't open a bank account like for 2 weeks. And that was a pain. And I said, well, what did you do? And he said, well, after learning these stories, I just got so inspired that I walked to the Ministry of Economics here in Russia, and they gave us money, they gave us the resources, and we built the first Russian project that educates entrepreneurs. And I say, well, now what? And he says, well, Sergey has now 3 cafe shops, and Rashid has opened an illegal entity on the name of his mother-in-law. And it is totally legal, and he has more cash back, and he doesn't, use cash anymore. So he's very happy. His business is prospering, and we have more than. And then he goes on to rumble about the numbers and tell us about the statistics and give the links. And then I said, well, do you want to tell this to anyone? And he said, yeah, man, I want to. And after 15 minutes of talking, he tells this exact story to the audience of 100 people. And he does it in less than 5 minutes. And after that, no one is looking at his phone. Everyone is clapping. Everyone is cheering. And I realized something. I realized that this is some kind of deep moment that I totally forgot. And exactly at this moment, when I remembered, I start remembering different workshops, and I feel something. And she says, well, this is you. Thank you for sharing. What's more interesting is that after this workshop, I was digging through the photos, and you can probably find Artem here enjoying how other human being who he is teaching tells a story. And I feel that this is the same moment for me as the moment with the Sergey. And what I did for these people, what I do casually for these people is I give them the right knowledge on how to tell a story. And I give them confidence because they don't believe their story is worth telling. But I honestly believe every story is worth telling. And this is the moment when I realized that what they get from it is that they feel their ideas and their products and they as human beings are valuable to others. And these episodes, these small moments of pure joy of being a human being for me, brought me to understand this is my purpose, to give people knowledge and confidence so that people feel that they and their ideas are valued by others. This is a statement that is not going to crumble despite any crises, because this is at the core of myself. This is my why. This is my past. This is my why. This is my future. This is my purpose. I can invent any kind of product, any kind of service, anything that fits this formula. And right now you're thinking, this is just messed up because you cannot put it as a phrase for a mission for a company because nobody is going to understand that what you're selling, what actually is your product. But who said that the mission statement or the purpose statement should contain a product? Who said that it shouldn't be authentic? Who said that it shouldn't be something like Apple or something like, the most helpful person in the world that you're seeing on the slide right now? So this is the thing though. It should inspire you. Caroline is absolutely true in the chat. Your mission should inspire you. And if it does, it will inspire everyone around you who is your person. It will not inspire everyone, but it will inspire those who are belonging to you in some way. And maybe some of you think right now, wow, Artem is our human being. Maybe some of you are not. That's totally fine by me. I'm living my life and I'm enjoying it, and I'm connecting to the people who are near to me in this sense. And the thing is, to discover this why, you just need to dive deeper. So in times when what and how crumble, you need to write the future with your why, but first discovering it through your stories. And I actually have a small gift for you people. I have 6 questions, which I totally use in the sessions when I discover the personal why of the human being. Instead of asking the why question, I ask these and, other questions like these. So what I do is, what I want to do and I want you to do is to just reflect on these questions. Think about them and think about events, small moments in your lives that led you to answer these questions. They don't need to be grand. They don't need to be something big and audacious. They need to be your moments of pure joy for being a human being because you are connected to others and helping others in some way. And reflecting on these questions and many more questions is like, it's a great tool to find your purpose in a way. So what I want you to do is just to think about them in your free time when you will be like alone for 5-10 minutes. But here's the catch though. Don't give up. If you are not finding an answer in 10 seconds, that's totally fine. If you're not finding an answer in 30 seconds, that's totally fine, because our brain that is responding to the why question is far newer than the brain that is responding to the when and where questions. It is a very old kind of brain. And there is even a distinction between paradigmic brain and narrative brain by one of the psychologists of the 20th century, Jerome Bruner. And the narrative brain, responsible for crafting, storing, and telling stories, is way older. So take your time, give yourself as many time as you need, but just don't give up. It will pay you a lot of dividends and benefits. So use these questions. And I also encourage you to find more questions in my Telegram channel. The link and the QR code are on the screen. It is absolutely free. And I post daily story discovering questions there in English. And the interviews I mentioned before are all on the YouTube channel I lead. It's also absolutely free. You can, connect whenever you'd like to. But guys, please put a plus in the chat if you will try to focus on these questions and discover who you really are in these tough times, just as a goodbye to this Russian man in front of you. So thank you so much, and it's been a real pleasure. I look forward to any questions. If we've got time, of course, it will be my pleasure to answer you.
Thank you so much, Artem. And we do have some time. We have until, let me check, until 8 o'clock. That gives us 8 minutes. So please, if you've got some questions, I will read them out from the chat. And maybe Artem, if you can put yourself back onto full screen so we can all see
of course.
a beautiful emotion to connect with you on your face. Connection is my work. So I'm like, yes, let's get these videos. Let's get these people's eyes down the barrel of that camera so people can connect with them. Tim Wade says he went to Russia and didn't see you. Does anyone
damn,
have...
Tim, it's such a... Where did you go? Like, which city, Tim?
No, it's all right. I'm just being stupid. I went to Moscow and you weren't there.
Oh, damn it. I live near the suburbs of Moscow in Korolyov.
I should have gone there.
Yeah,
that was brilliant, Artem.
You should have known.
Really brilliant. I think the ability to extract the why, I think, is the big why question that a lot of us are having. I've got another why question at the moment. Why are you doing this? Thanks, Artem.
Hi, she's
Thank
so
you.
cute, Tim. Anyone got a question for Artem before we wrap up and move it to the next part of the, I love seeing kids. I love when I'm coaching my clients and their kids coming on Zoom. That's one of the best things about the new environment we are. Children are humanity. It's great to see at the end of a long evening session. Anyone else?
Okay, I do have a question then, Simone.
Yeah.
Artem, what would be great for us to do for you right now as a big thank you for you doing this for us?
Whoa, wow, that's a big question, man. Okay. I want you to promise me one thing. there is an idea that I have that is called the homework for life. And it's an idea proposed by Matthew Dix, a fellow storyteller of mine. And the idea is quite simple. You sit down for 5 minutes every day in the end of the day alone without kids. And that's Tim, that's not, and a hint, anything. But you sit down with yourself and you ask yourself one question. What moment from today have at least a tiny bit made myself a different human being? At least a tiny little bit made myself different today. Made myself different. These are the simplest moments that are there for you every day, and we just fail to notice them. So please write to the chat that you promise to do this, and here's the kicker, for 2 weeks straight. 5 minutes a day, 2 weeks straight. And just think about after these 2 weeks, what happens to you and what's changed in your life. If you promise me that, that would be a great thing. And,
okay. Is there something else?
Oh,
that was great. Thank you.
No,
I'll just read that out again. What moment from today has made you have a tiny bit that makes us human?
No, a tiny bit made you different. Different. Like okay. you are A, now you're a little bit like so, you're B.
In the chat, so growth. It's a question of growth, right? Like, okay, fantastic.
It can be growth.
Rashini, if I could ask you to write that in the chat as well, so we have that. Guys, everyone put your mics on. Let's give Artem the hugest round of applause. Thank you so much, brother.
Thanks, Artem. That was brilliant.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.